Yeah. Uh, well, I'm here, everyone. I think I am. I think I am anyway. I don't say. I don't know if anyone is here. Probably not. But hey, welcome everyone. Wish I had some opening theme music to play. But got a lot of stuff going on. I almost canceled. I was really close to canceling, and just all kind of crap going on. So I don't know. But I'm just gonna only be on for a little while anyway. But I was again, I was just late. Sorry, I was out doing some stuff and trying to get things together, and it's just been a long morning, long day. Um, so I don't know if anyone is there, but hey, we'll talk a little bit about Star Trek, I guess. We'll talk a little about Gene Roddenberry, I guess, and just leave it at that. How about that? What if we just do that there? And sound checking there for a second. Hey, Eastland Burkholder, you were here, and if you come back, that's cool. I hope you do. Let me see. Let's see here. Huh. Well, I think you're here. I can't tell, to be honest. I'm back. Yeah, that's okay. I'll talk a little Trek anyway. Talk a little Gene Roddenberry. I'll get, we'll do a more proper show later. We'll do a Trek talk later, of course. But, well, because I want to make it a regular feature like I used to do on my old show on Blog Talk Radio. And I had a guest lined up, my good buddy Problem Being from who has been with me on my Blake 7 show, and a cool feller and a great dude. And I told him I was going to cancel, so he might not show up because he can't really couldn't stay long anyway. And then I got home in time, which I didn't think I was going to, and I decided, you know what, I hate to cancel. I mean, I'm going to be, I can't stay on too long anyway because I got got things to do. Have not eaten yet today, so I'm eating while I'm doing I'm like Odin. Eating while doing a live stream. What are we to eat lunch, man? I'll tell you. Kai. All right. My friend Kai has shown up. Man, all right. And I guess Eastland's here. Sorry, everyone. I thought I was going to be all on my lonesome because I just didn't. I scheduled it in the daytime and all that stuff. Hey, we're pretty informal here. Some of us, what'd you say, smaller channels in the Fandom Menace? We love our Fandom Menace. I love all the big channels and stuff like that. Shout out to my friend Kai here, who I met over at my good friend Paulie's Latino Slant channel. And Eastland. Mando Mark. All right. Got a few distinguished gentlemen in here. Hey, Mando, what's up, bud? Like I said, I thought I'd be on I would come on for a little while today. And hang a bit. Tomorrow, I'm supposed to be on. Again, I'm not sure what time yet. It has not been told. But tomorrow, I'm going to be a guest on our old buddy Loki, the great Stone Loki show, talking about DC that DC thingy they're doing. What is it? DC live fandom thingy or whatever. And I'm looking forward. I'm very, very flattered, very honored to be asked to be on that. And I'm looking forward to that. It will be fun. Rushing all over the place today. Tonight, I'm pretty thrilled what I'll be doing. And we'll get right on some Roddenberry talk here. Tonight, some of the movie theaters in New Orleans are reopening. They actually reopened last night. And I'm going to get to go see my all-time favorite film, The Empire Strikes Back. Paulie! The great Paulie Latino Slant is here. All right, my friend. All right, buddy. Good to see you. So, I'll be seeing The Empire Strikes Back tonight, my all-time favorite film. But even though it's the poopy special edition, which I'm not super thrilled about, mind you, man, we got some distinguished guests here. I'm very honored, man. I'm telling you, I'm very honored. Eastland Burkholder, Latino Slant, the great Paulie, Kai, my new friend Kai, and my new friend Mando Mark. This is great. Great to see you all. Hopefully, Problem Being might be able to stop in for a minute. I told him I was going to cancel, but if he does pop in, we'll see him. We'll let him come in. But it doesn't matter because I'm not going to be on super long today. I'm going to get to go see The Empire Strikes Back because you know what? I didn't want my last movie I did not want my last movie with the word Star Wars in the title. I say it that way because The Last Jedi is a piece of maggot-infested filth that is not Star Wars. I didn't want to be my last film that I see at the theater with the word Star Wars in it to be The Last Dead Guy, as I call it. So it's going to be my favorite film, even though I don't like the special edition much or have problems with it anyway. It's going to be The Empire Strikes Back tonight. And I cannot wait. But Gene Roddenberry, folks. Gene Roddenberry. Sorry, long day, Judes. I had to fix my truck and do something, work on a truck all day and do stuff, so I'm a mess. They call him the Great Bird of the Galaxy. He created something that means so much to me. This is in this month of August, just a little side note, to great creators. If you refer, I didn't watch it at the theater, Paulie. I hated it, but I didn't watch it at the theater. I saw the Rise of Pucapatine by nefarious methods, just so I could see it and have the info. But I did not go to the theater. Last time I've been into a theater with a movie with the title Star Wars, was The Last Dead Guy, as I call it, that piece of filth. But as much as I didn't like, I hate Force Awakens. I'm one of those who hated that from the beginning. I hate Last Dead Guy even more, and I hate Rise of Skywalker. But I think I hate Rise of Skywalker, or Rise of Palpatine. But I hate Last Dead Guy the most. Actually, don't hate Rogue One. I thought it was okay. I mean, it has things with it, but it was a fun, decent film. Hated Solo. That was garbage to me. But none of it's really Star Wars, really that much. Kind of Rogue One sort of fits a little. But that's just a personal thing. Naturally, everyone's different, as you all know. Yeah, I mean, to me, yeah. But look, I'm not a big prequel hater. I never really hate the prequels or anything. I like them okay. I'm not. I agree with a lot of the criticisms about them, but I'm okay with them. I like them enough. I'm a big look, Star Wars, and that's what I call it because that's what it's called when I first saw it in the theater in 1977. Star Wars and Empire are my two favorites. Empire is my all-time favorite film. In Return of the Jedi, it took me a long time to come to peace with it because I was very upset about it in 1983 as a 19-year-old kid sitting in the theater. Because I waited 3 years and I was very upset. But I do like it a lot better. There are parts of it now better. And I'm just an OT guy. I like a lot of the expanded universe when it comes to Star Wars. But another franchise with the word star in it, of course, was Star Trek. And Gene Roddenberry, as mentioned in here, actually he was a cop. Before that, he was a World War II pilot. And Gene Roddenberry, I don't know if any of you like TV westerns. I'm kind of a big freak for TV westerns. I like movie westerns just fine. There's some great ones. I love John Wayne films and things like that, but I'm a big fan of TV westerns personally. And in my opinion, there are a lot of great ones. In my opinion, the greatest TV western of all time is called Have Gun Will Travel. And you will frequently hear Roddenberry listed as a producer or a head writer on that show. I'm not sure if that's true because you never see that in the credits, but he wrote about 22, 23 episodes. And the Roddenberry episodes, most of them are really good. He had a great flair for writing Paladin, that great character played by Richard Boone on Have Gun Will Travel. If you like old westerns, and you know what? It's only a western because of its setting. It's really not. It's not a conventional western at all. Brilliant show. He's such a great character, Paladin. He's nothing like any other western character you've ever seen. I like them all. I love Maverick. I love the Cartwrights, and Alias Smith and Jones, great show. Guns of Will Sonic, great show. Gunsmoke and Bonanza, great shows. I even like Lawman, that was a good one. A lot of good ones. Maverick, I love. But Have Gun Will Travel. And I'll tell you, Roddenberry wrote some great episodes of that. He later went on to create a show called The Lieutenant, which William Shatner actually was on. And he wrote for various other things. I think he wrote for The Virginian a little bit as well. Another great show, The Virginian. But he created a show that, it should be noted, incidentally, that Star Trek has been around for so long. There are many, many, many people who are contributing creators. But none of it happens without Gene Roddenberry. I mean, Lucille Ball helped get it launched, all that stuff. So in the month of August, which is my birth month, I'm proud to share it with three of the most, for me, and a personal thing, greatest creators in the history of geekdom. And they're this month, coming up soon, will be the birthday, of course, of the legendary great Jack Kirby, the king of comics. And I've been celebrating him all month, and we'll do so again. The wonderful creator of, so tons and tons of characters, including co-creator and full creator of so much of the Marvel Universe. I'm sure you've heard of it. DC's Fourth World and many other things. Jack Kirby, of course, the creator. Gene Roddenberry, as we've mentioned, and even Terry Nation, who, I don't know if any of you were Doctor Who fans. I'm a big Doctor Who fan, well, until what just happened to it, of course. Terry Nation didn't create the show Doctor Who, but the very second episode featured these creations called the Daleks. The show was on the verge of cancellation until the Daleks showed up. His creation, the Daleks, and he is the creator of them, at least the concept and the story, saved Doctor Who from extinction after its first episode. So in a sense, he's a Doctor Who creator. He created the most important aspect of Doctor Who ever in terms of the show's longevity, and was the Daleks. His estate even owns the creation. They have to use the Daleks every couple of years on Doctor Who, or the rights lapse. And in the 60s, we know nothing if we're over here in the States because we weren't over there in the UK. In the 60s, the Daleks were a phenomenon, for them a Star Wars type phenomenon or a Star Trek type phenomenon. And he also created one of my all-time favorite shows, which you've talked about here a lot, Blake 7. He also co-created the classic 80s series from America called MacGyver. You may have heard of that one. So this month, man, Terry Nation, Gene Roddenberry, and Jack Kirby in this month. I'm so proud I was born in a month. I thought I was born in a nothing month. And I'm nothing compared to those gents, that's for sure. And I love them. But today we're talking about Gene, who, as you know, pitched Star Trek to NBC and Desilu and made one pilot And that pilot, it didn't sell. Didn't quite make it, that pilot. That's the second pilot there, sorry. Thought I put the other one up there. Yeah. Well, there was a second pilot after that called Where No Man Has Gone Before. I didn't put the one from the first one with Jeffrey Hunter as Pike. But you all know that. I mean, everyone knows the story. And I'm not telling you anything any Trek fan doesn't know. And that's not why we're here. I'm probably, I'm not going to be giving you that much info you don't know. But do any of you remember, what was that album called? There was a vinyl album back in the 70s called, I think it was called Inside Star Trek. Correct me if I'm wrong. Back then, that's how you got interviews. And it had an exclusive interviews with William Shatner, Mark Leonard, and of course, Gene Roddenberry. I still have it in some form somewhere. And Roddenberry was talking about the creation of Star Trek. As many of us know, the legends that Lucille Ball really liked it and thought he was onto something. When the network turned down The Cage, the Jeffrey Hunter pilot, they had all kinds of stupid complaints. They thought it was boring. It was too cerebral for the, as Roddenberry said, basically they were saying it was too cerebral for you slobs out in the TV audience. Roddenberry had a singular wit, and this was a very funny interview. And these network execs were telling him things like, first of all, there's so many things wrong. That woman, you have her like in command when the captain leaves. We don't believe her in command of anything. Yeah, they said that. And they said, oh, and while you're at it, get rid of the guy with the ears. He looks like the devil. And yeah, Roddenberry said, fuck off. I mean, he had to make some concessions, but Lucy liked the show. And unprecedented at the time. If you had a pilot that got nixed by a network, that was it. Back then, that was it. You didn't have another shot at it. Yeah, I mean, and there you go. Eastland knows a lot of the stuff too. He kind of pitched Wagon Train to the Stars, or that's kind of what they were looking for. They wanted a Western, and they were said, okay, in space is fine, but it needs to be a Western. You can make a case that there were elements, maybe some Western elements in Star Trek. Especially retroactively, when you think that after you see Next Gen and others, and Deep Space Nine and things like that, almost 100 years. I love Lucy. I love Lucy for that reason, big time, Paulie. Almost 100 years previous, that was considered like the Old West type space compared to what's going on in Picard's time, But Roddenberry, was given a chance. He was given the green light, as you just saw the picture earlier. He was to try another pilot, which again was unheard of back then, thanks to Lucy and Desilu. That's how the legend goes. Now, was I there? No. Legends are legends. Yeah. There have been some have contradicted that, by the way. Just to pour that out there, but I believe it. I believe Lucy was instrumental. Could be wrong. Anyway, you get Where No Man Has Gone Before, the one I just showed a picture of. And boom. He called a guy who'd been on a show called The Lieutenant with him, a guy named William Shatner. Because the network really didn't like Jeffrey Hunter that much. I like Jeffrey Hunter fine. His Pike is good. It still could have been a good show. It wouldn't have been the same show, though. It wouldn't have been the same show. And as much as you don't want to sound mean and say, I'm glad it changed from Hunter to Shatner, I'm glad it changed from Hunter to Shatner. Now, Jeffrey Hunter's wife didn't want him involved in the show. It was beneath him as an actor. And unfortunately, very soon after that, he passed away. He was killed in an accident on the set of a film, if I'm not mistaken. He made one of those Jesus movies, actually. I think it was, God, I forget the name of the Jesus film he made. You probably know it. You guys probably know it. Kai, you're exactly right. Without Lucy, hey, again, another reason to love Lucy. I love her for it. But Hunter, again, it would have been a very different show. Not that it would have been bad, but man, sometimes just the cosmos smiles upon us. And you get lightning in a bottle with a cast. You get Shatner in there. Hadn't been on much, he'd been on, I think he'd been on The Lieutenant with Roddenberry, and he'd been on, some other things. Obviously been around. Probably I believe he was in his early 30s, of course. And wow, James T. Kirk. Good God. If you watch Where No Man Has Gone Before, according to Gary Mitchell's tombstone, when he's trying to kill him on on Delta Vega, he made the tombstone James R. Kirk, but later they changed it to James Tiberius Kirk. Little side note there. Incidentally, I just bought the big 50th anniversary Blu-ray mega set from 2016. It finally went down enough I couldn't afford it for years. It's got all the episodes. It's Blu-ray, and you can watch them in the old format where they look in the old format or the new. As you all know, the show was remastered many years ago with new effects. It lets you toggle between those two, or you can watch it the old way or the new way. I actually like a lot of the remastered look. It doesn't bother me. I like it, because I've seen it a million times the other way too. So it's fine either way. But you can toggle between the two. That's pretty interesting. That's a nice feature. Got all the animated series, got all the films, and it's a real beautiful, nice box set. Yes, he's been on Twilight Zone twice, Paulie. Good. Love Twilight Zone. We'll be doing a Twilight Zone show one of these days. Rod Serling was the man. And he could smoke us all under the table. But it was truly wonderful that they managed to get Shatner. And the character of Kirk, I mean, based, and Roddenberry based him on Horatio Hornblower. Originally, when Roddenberry originally wrote his first drafts for the early scripts of The Cage, he was Captain Robert April. Thanks, Eastland. I love the thing. Since I bought that set, I've started binge watching them, and I watched. It's important to watch the first season if you're binging it in production order. Pain in the ass because you got to switch the discs around a lot, but that's really hard work, of course. No. But it's in production order's the key there. If you're binging the original series, if you're just popping them, in random episodes, which is a great thing about the original series, you can do that. But I like to mess around. Just kind of popping them all over the place. And I'm up to the second season. I'm going to binge them all, then binge the animated series, then binge the films. The only thing missing from the set, incidentally, is the director's cut of Star Trek: The Motion Picture, which I have on DVD. It came out years ago. For some reason, they didn't put that on the DVD, which is a shame. They got the extended Wrath of Khan on there. I don't know what the deal was with that, but aside from that, it's all there. All original series stuff, including like I said, animated and what have you. So you get established, you get a character like Kirk, such a dynamic character. Robert April, I said, was going to be the first captain. Incidentally, Gene Roddenberry used that name again on 2 episodes he wrote for a recurring character played by different actors on Have Gun Will Travel. There was a Robert April on Have Gun Will Travel. He used it in a couple of episodes of that great show. Anyway, just little tidbits there. Roddenberry, had a lot of help creating Star Trek, no question about it. I mean, so many names you've got to mention. The cast, of course, Shatner, Nimoy, Kelly, Doohan, you know, huge contributors. Also behind the scenes, Robert Justman, Gene L. Kuhn, amazing. Dorothy Fontana. Those are the huge, huge names that helped Roddenberry cultivate Star Trek, make it as great as it is. Many, many other directors and others as well that worked behind the scenes. You know, Jeff Reason, all these big names. There were a lot of people behind the scenes, things like that, and Alexander Courage and Fred Steiner on music, and there's so many people that you have to bring up that you could mention in the creation of Star Trek as a whole. But you also it doesn't happen without Gene Roddenberry. And I sure thank him for it. I can't really adequately express in words how much Star Trek means to me. And yet, even though I'm very old, I never got to see it all that much on network television when it first hit. I was very young. I got to see Batman all the time, which that's what turned me into a geek. Adam West Batman. I didn't get to see Trek a whole lot. And in reruns, where I live down here, we didn't get it that much. And I had two brothers to fight with. So back then, Lost in Space was my gospel. As a child, Batman TV show and Lost in Space were my world. Obviously, comic books, well, before comics, even cartoons of superheroes, that, yes. But as far as television shows were concerned, Batman TV show, Lost in Space were my universe. Star Trek, didn't really get to see it that much when I was very young. I saw it here and there, but it was, again, I wanted to watch it. And then the funny thing happened to me. Again, comic books lead to a lot of different things. Back then, remember when there was a comic book market and they were all over? I used to buy comics from the spinner racks and the 7-Elevens and the Eckerd Drugs racks and things like that, K&Bs. Marvel Comics started running ads in 1979 for Star Trek: The Motion Picture. And I'm, of course, an avid comic book reader at that point, and I liked Star Trek. I never got to see it that much, but they put out the ads first on the back of the comic books with that great poster. I forget that poster. I should have put that up there. And they then did the Marvel Comics Super Special. Remember when every major motion picture got a comic book adaptation? Anyone else old enough to remember that? Remember those days? Every summer we would be flooded. And we liked that. We thought it was cool. You'd get a comic book adaptation of major science fiction, fantasy, or big blockbuster films, which I'm going to do a show about soon. I'm going to do a show about that soon. And Mark C., great to see you there, bud. Saw it on network TV, black and white, was stacked. I saw it a couple times on network TV, Eastland, but I never really got a chance to watch it much. And I was 2 and 3 and 4 years old and such, My buddy Mark C. didn't become a fan until he was 12 in 85. Well, I was late as well, buddy. I mean, I was only a little bit older than you. I was a little older than you, but I was around 15 in 1979 when this Marvel Super Special. God, I love this Larkin cover on it. This is a beautiful cover. Interior by Dave Cockrum, one of my favorite artists. Inks by Klaus Janson. Not the biggest Klaus Janson fans inks over this, but I mean, I wore this sucker out before the movie came out. Wore it out. And a lot of people don't like Star Trek: The Motion Picture. And I'm sorry, but I loved it. It made me want to watch Star Trek. And at the time, we were not getting it in syndication here. And as soon as in conjunction with the film, I'm glad somebody's older than me, Eastland. No offense. I'm glad somebody is, though. And but be old and proud, older than us, but still young. I know you're young at heart, Eastland Burkholder, my friend. They started running it in syndication again here back when the motion picture came out in 79, and they started on Sunday mornings at 6 a.m. for some reason. And we had one of the first VCRs. Remember those VCRs that were bigger than tanks? And I started buying tapes and recording every one of them and watching them over and over and over again. And of course, went to the theater to see the motion picture every chance I got. Can't remember how many times now. And that was it. I was hooked. I was a Trek fan for life from that point. So well over 40 something years. And, could have been way longer than that if I'd been able to see it earlier. But I didn't. So I know some people who started way younger than me, like Eastland did. But you start when you start. And I love the motion picture. Again, I understand where Nomad has gone before. As everyone probably knows, Roddenberry tried to sell a series in the 70s before this. It was called Star Trek, basically Star Trek Phase 2. He wrote a script called In Thy Image. Oh, yeah, Kai, look, we love those old VCRs, recording them right. Because if you didn't record something, you didn't get to watch it all the time. Let me do Mark, and if you're game, we need to do a show about movie adaptations, comic movie adaptations, because I've really been thinking about doing that for a while. I miss those, man. I miss them. My friend Paulie, Trek fan early. He went to the first movie. Didn't get it when I was 9. Hey, man, that's cool. You went to see it, though, brother. Hey. And I again, it's a remake of The Changeling, and where Nomad has gone before, they call it. Well, the script In Thy Image that was written for the TV series, Star Trek 2 TV series, Phase 2, whatever, that was going to be done before they ended up doing the motion picture, it's pretty much the same story as the motion picture. There's no Spock. There's a full Vulcan, young Vulcan named Zahn. And it's interesting. It's pretty good. And I've read some of the 4 or 5 of the unshot scripts for that show. Years and years ago, I read them. And I almost wish it had been a show instead, never had gone to movies. No matter how much I love the Wrath of Khan motion picture, what have you. It would have been great if they'd have made a second series if only Nimoy had joined in. And who knows, maybe he would have joined in later. And, oh, yeah. I saw Khan about 18 times in the theater at 82, man. I'm with you. Paulie, I love that movie. Yeah, it's one of the great movies. Yeah, so I kind of wish it had been a series, but then without Spock, that would have hurt. So we paid the price. We ended up getting Spock, coercing Spock to be in the motion picture, but we lost a series for it. Now, would the series been as big? Look, science fiction, Star Wars made the empty suits see dollar signs, so they thought, hey, we got a movie with the word star in it too, and it's a franchise that's been around. People are really watching the show and going to conventions. It'll be as big as Star Wars. They had a budget of $40 million on the motion picture. That was unheard of back then. Wasn't really Heaven's Gate or anything, though. But yeah. How many? That's a good question, Mark. There were at least maybe 2 or 3 Phase 2 scripts. I don't know the exact number, but I know there had to have been at least 2 or 3. One was called The Child. I can't remember the others, but there have been at least a couple of these Phase 2 scripts redone or adapted for the next generation. I'll tell you this, that Norman Spinrad, the well-known great science fiction writer who wrote the great Star Trek episode, The Doomsday Machine, in fact, called the guys when they started producing the next generation and talked about the story idea. And I've read he has an unshot script he wrote for the original series, and he told them about that, and he said you could readapt that for the next generation. And they told him basically something like, yeah, we already have something just like that in mind. And he basically said, well, I'll sue you then. That's my story. What are you doing? I don't know how it went by. I don't think he was ever able to make any hay of it, but I don't know. Spinrad was a really good writer. I think that was the one called He Walks Among Us, but that was an unshot script from the original series. I don't know if that was it or not. Been a long time since I've read it. However, I agree. Look, Eastland Burkholder, let me tell you something. I love The Wrath of Khan. I love motion picture. I love Search for Spock, even Voyage Home. I even love 5 and 6, but I have a lot of problems with them. I wish Star Trek had never been a movie. ever. Not one of them. I would have taken a TV series that would give us a good 5, 6 years or whatever any day, because Star Trek is made for television. It is a square peg in a round hole in movies. Always will be to me. This is my opinion. I want it to be episodic television, or you could be like Deep Space Nine and be partial episodic and partial serialized and with arcs. That's fine too. I just think it should always be on TV. That's just my opinion. Even though that doesn't mean I think the movies aren't great. They are. I mean, you take what you can get in this world, as you know. But it should be a TV show. Should have been a TV show. I mean, that's what it's for. But thank the idiot empty suit. So they saw Star Wars. They saw dollar signs. That's what happened. So, in essence, that's basically it. But I still, again, not a whole. I mean, there may be a whole. Look, if there's a parallel universe out there where it went that way, God, I'd love to visit it. But Roddenberry, he had a very strict vision of the way he wanted Star Trek to be. Somewhere in the 70s, and this is not, I mean, yes, it's a criticism because everyone can be criticized, including Gene Roddenberry. Nobody's above criticism. He started going to these conventions and people started telling him how much Star Trek meant to their life, which is true. No one's ever going to be telling Alex Klutzman that, by the way. And did it go to his head? I don't know. I think he kind of started thinking he was Gandhi after a while. He used to argue with Harv Bennett, producer of Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. And that little weasel, Nicholas Meyer, who is a good director, but I won't get into why he's a weasel. He would say stuff like he didn't want any conflict in the movie. He didn't want any conflict in Star Trek. He didn't think people should want revenge in Star Trek and all these different things. And people shouldn't be bad. There shouldn't be any villains. They didn't want to make any show, okay, and the movie's got some traction, basically what you're saying there, Kai. And it got it back on TV. That's absolutely true. But they also they really didn't have any balls because they could have tried to make a show and would it have done well or not? Look, here's the fallacy a lot of people that people buy into this day because of the network narrative. The original Trek series, especially in its first 2 seasons, was not a ratings failure. I repeat, not a ratings failure. So many of us have been taught that over the years and told that. It's a network lie. It did very well in the ratings, especially the first 2 seasons. But the network hated it and kept burying it with bad time slots later. They wanted it gone. They didn't like it. They didn't like any kind of controversy. They didn't like any of this crap. The letters campaign early on did save it the first time. Second time, it didn't. But it was never in its early stages. I mean, the network killed it with bad time slots. And of course, the 3rd season had a lot of problems. But yeah, exactly, Kai. But the show did not have bad ratings early on. It was not ratings that killed Star Trek. It was NBC that killed Star Trek. See a book. I forget the author's name now. It's a really good book. These Are the Voyages. Great book. God, I'm forgetting the dude's name, and I'm sorry. Great book. But a lot of people, I used to always think that too. I used to always think that it was ratings. No. So a second Star Trek series could have been done well. Now, again, without Nimoy, I don't know. I don't know that it would have been. I don't know that, but we don't know that it wouldn't have been either. Now, and the motion picture, by the way, did not do super, super well. That's why when they made Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, it was made by the TV division at Paramount on the cheap. Very true, Eastland. Roddenberry tells a story. Now, some of you don't know that Roddenberry tried some pilots for some other series. I'm sure you probably all know. He tried a show called Spectre. I think Robert Colt, Leonard Nimoy was in it. Kind of a supernatural type of a show. Didn't do very well. It was a pilot movie, which you can find. Then he did one that I really loved called The Quester Tapes. It was Planet Earth and Genesis 2 and Planet Earth also. The Quester Tapes was about an android very similar to his Gary Seven attempted pilot for Assignment Earth in the second end of the second season of Star Trek. And the Quester Tapes, it was Robert Foxworth and Mike Farrell. There was a pilot. If you ever get a chance to see the Quester Tapes and you haven't, by Gene Roddenberry, it's a really good pilot film. And he was later, basically, Data is Quester. Quester was redone as Data for Star Trek the Next Generation. But Robert Foxworth is Quester. He's an android, much like Gary Seven, except he's an android. He was sent by aliens to help guide, Earth through its evolution. It's early, and by these aliens that have been watching us and guiding us. And his memories are screwed up for some. He gets his programming gets messed up. One of his creators gets hurt or something like that. But anyway, so it's about him trying to learn and to adapt. And Roddenberry told a story about there's a scene in the Quester pilot where Quester basically has sex with a woman to get information out of her. Well, Roddenberry got called down to the to the executive's office. He's telling this story, and he said they were pretty upset by this scene. He said he's an android, he's a robot. What are you doing? And they said, yeah, but she doesn't know that. And he said he's fully functional, all this kind of crap, which we all know later. Data did later with Tasha Yar in the first season of Next Gen. So basically, he talked about. He said you could see these weird expressions on their faces, and they were embarrassed. And he said basically it boiled down to they were saying, "Gene, would you want your sister to be with one?" That's the way Gene said it, and he delivered the line way better. And so later on, we get on Wrath of Khan. He kind of, I don't know, in the movie. Look, Gene didn't like the movies. He didn't like what they were. He didn't like Wrath of Khan. I mean, I'm not saying he thought it was a bad film. He didn't like the direction, the story. He didn't like what they were doing. I guess he didn't like the revenge plot. Or the violence, which of course is pretty tame. Certainly by today's standards, but he didn't like it. He was saying, we don't do that in Star Trek. And there's a famous story where I believe it was Bennett or one of them. Howard Bennett said, Gene, did you ever watch your own show? Because it's true, they had violence in Star Trek all the time. All the time. But what you going to do? That's just the way things go. Kai, I am honored to see you here, my friend. Honored. Kai and Eastman Burkholder and Mark C. and Paulie and Mando Merck and anyone else who's popped in. I'm honored to see you all here, my friends. Thank you so much for popping in for my little streaminess, just talking a little Gene Roddenberry, because it was his birthday the other day, so I want to do a little bit, And I'm sorry, my friend, problem being couldn't make it. That was my fault. I was busy working on my truck, doing some things, and I had to go run an errand, and I started late, and he couldn't make it. He was booked in some other shows. Incidentally, those again, tomorrow I'm supposed to be on. I haven't told me the time yet, but on Stone Loki's show, we're gonna be talking about that big DC fandom event. And Kai, I did not know you were a Star Trek fan. We should talk some Trek sometimes, bud. But look, Gene went his own way, and he did the Next Generation, and a lot of people criticize Gene. Look, he's human. He can be criticized, no problem. But he did have a vision, and you don't have to agree with the vision, but to crap all over the vision like these new idiots do, like Alex Klutzman, before him, Jar Jar Abrams, who really started all this crap. Fuck them. Fuck those motherfuckers. for taking something away from us that we had. And look, I'll be upfront with you about this. This is a very you probably all can relate. We probably all have. Do any of you ever have any unpopular opinions? Like you like something that most people don't like, or vice versa? You don't like something everyone likes? Well, I'm going to confess mine when it comes to Star Trek. Cool, man. I'm going to make since we're in Gene celebration, a Star Trek confession to you right now of an unpopular opinion. My favorite is the original series. I really do. I'm always torn between how much I love. I've recently a new discovered love for Next Generation and Deep Space Nine. Great shows. Voyager, I like some of it. I'm not the biggest Voyager guy. Of course, I love the animated series. And I actually really like Enterprise. I know, controversial. It's the redheaded stepchild of Star Trek. But I really love it. Warts and all, there are contradictions in it I don't like. Multiple things can be true at the same time. I can like something and go, yeah, but I do understand that criticism of it. But it's still good, and I still like it. And I really do love Enterprise. And a lot of people don't, which is fine. But it still has all the proper components of Star Trek, even though it doesn't. It's an uncomfortable fit into the canon that, hey, and here's another shock. I can love it and still agree that it shouldn't have been made. By the way, Megaforce, I'm sorry, Mark, but you're going to have to go into the agony booth for that. No, I'm just kidding. I have nothing against Megaforce, bud. I don't think I ever sat through all of it, but I know, in conjunction with Star Trek, Persis Kambata was in it. So there you go. The lovely lady from Star Trek The Motion Picture. My friend Kai says, my hot take seems to be that I'm not fond of Scott Bakula. Well, I haven't seen Enterprise because of it, but I'm going to give it a shot soon because it's real Trek. You know something, Kai? And again, here's another unpopular opinion. I know most people liked Quantum Leap. It was not my bag. And so I did not like Scott Bakula. See, I was married back when, no longer, but I was married back when Quantum Leap was on. My then wife loved it so much I was not allowed in the room when she was watching it because I'm such an asshole heckling it and making fun of it. And I have long, detailed reasons why I don't like Quantum Leap. But just suffice to say, I was an asshead. And so I wasn't allowed in the room. So when they announced Scott Bakula, I'm like, oh, good God, I can't stand him. But I love him as Archer. I think he's fantastic as Archer. I really do. So you might like the show, you might not. I really love it. I mean, and again, it has problems. I even like the first 2 seasons. That's very unpopular. Usually people say things like, Enterprise got better in the 4th season. I don't agree with that. It was really good. The 4th season was good, don't get me wrong, but there are a lot of really good standalone episodes in the first couple of seasons. And Easton, I like the Enterprise, the early ship clunkiness. I like the clunkiness early on myself because these guys were just starting out there with the first Starfleet vessel. They didn't know what they were doing. My friend Mark C likes the show. He's not a fan of the NX-01 design. It grew on me, but it's not my favorite one either, Mark. I'm with you. I got you, brother. So if, above other genres is uneven, cringeworthy. Sometimes same show. I really like Bakula now. Back then, man, I was like, you guys got to be kidding me. The Quantum Leap dude that on Star Trek, the hell with that. But I learned. And well, you're lucky you never watched Quantum Leap. I don't care what anyone says, Kai. I know a lot of dudes like it. That's a chick show, man. I'm sorry. A chick show. Yes, I'm a sexist pig. I said it. Kidding, but boy, it got me in a lot of trouble. There were 3 shows that my back then wife, who was a geek at least, I was not allowed in the room when she was watching that stupid 80s Beauty and the Beast show with Ron Perlman. I was not allowed in the room when she was watching Quantum Leap. And I was not allowed when she was watching Lois and Clark, the Harlequin Adventures of Superman. I know some of my fellow Superman fans like that show. I like Dean Cain, okay. I love Terry Hatcher. That fucking show was just a silly romantic soap opera crack. Hated it. Unpopular opinion number 5,000. Just me. And if I walked to the room and she was watching it, she'd say, shut up. I don't want to hear it. I was not allowed. There you go. They're pioneers. The regular again. Archer started out. He had no rules. He had no pioneers. Would Roddenberry, back to Roddenberry, would he have approved of what they did with Enterprise? I don't know. You could never know these things. He was gone by then. Unfortunately, he died. He passed. And I can remember the night I heard Gene Roddenberry passed. It was my then wife's birthday, as a matter of fact, October 24th, 1991, if I remember correctly. I'm riding around and I hear it on the radio. And I was very sad. He does seem like a nice guy. You know what? You know where Bakula doesn't appeal to me? I'm from Louisiana, and I've lived in New Orleans. He's on this CSI, or was it NCS? One of these New Orleans stupid CSI, NCS show. NCS, I think. NCIS, whatever it is. And he's doing this, like many actors, this stupid, phony New Orleans accent. And it's so annoying. Nobody talks like that, dude. In movies, except in movies, when they're, CSI New Orleans, is that it? And I'm not saying it's a bad show or anything, Eastland. I'm saying that look, people in New Orleans do not talk like Scott Bakula thinks they do. I mean, he can't do. It's not his fault. Yeah. Oh man. I mean, yeah, it was tough. Eastland, that happened to me this year, buddy. Eastland says I passed on Farscape. It looked silly. I was same thing. In Muppets, I would not watch it for 20 years. This year, and the lack of anything good to watch will do this to you. I gave Farscape another look this year back in Amazon, binged all 4 seasons, and really enjoyed it. Good show. Bad accent, annoying. Yeah, I thought it was. Oh, well, Mark says he dropped the accent early on. Okay, fair enough. Well, it's not my kind of show anyway, but again, there's nothing against him. I'm kind of goofing on him. I'm not saying anything wrong with it. It's just kind of, I hate it. Anytime I watch a movie, what was it? Like Dennis Quaid was terrible in The Big Easy when he tried that stupid voice, that old movie. Anytime they play New Orleans characters, they hear a few of the New Orleans people talking. Yeah, shit, they all talk like kids. They down in the bayou, yeah, yeah, and they all talk like that. They all think that everybody talks like Justin Wilson. You know what I mean? Ooh, yeah. I can't do Justin Wilson, and they can't, and nor should they. Some can do it. Yeah, Carol O'Connor was good at it. He was pretty good. But again, there are people who talk like that down here, and especially the Cajuns down here in this area. But not quite like that. But would Gene Roddenberry approve of Enterprise? I don't know. I mean, they say he wouldn't approve of the last couple of seasons of Next Generation, and certainly not Deep Space Nine. Oh, I have a recommendation though. If you're a fan of Trek at all, Next Generation at all, if you've not seen the documentary Chaos on the Bridge, it's really, really good, and it's very very educational about the early goings on the set of Star Trek The Next Generation. I mean, it's a miracle that show made it for as long as it did. And it doesn't paint Roddenberry in the best of light, but again, he's a human being. It's fine. I mean, if it's true, and William Shatner, I think he narrates it. It's fascinating, I think, and it was on Netflix, the filthy Netflix. I'm not going to go into what I think of Netflix right now, but it was on there. Might still be on there. Called Chaos on the Bridge. So, yeah, a little Trek talk there. I love me some Star Trek. It's just a sad thing today. This would have been Gene Roddenberry's 99th birthday. Hey man, we're in neighboring states, Eastland, or we're from neighboring states, buddy. It's sad that on what would be of his 99th birthday, that Star Trek has just been sucked down into the sewer of 3 pieces of shit Jar Jar Abrams movies, 2 garbage, bad reboot, Secret Hideout, Alex Kurtzman's shit garbage shows, and a shitty animated piece of trash, Lower Decks. Just a sad state of affairs for Star Trek. I've been getting the IDW comic Star Trek Year 5 just to have something Star Trek to read. And yes, it chronicles what would have been Year 5 of the the original series. It's pretty good. It's okay. I've long since dropped Star Trek novels, but they're doing a lot of them on audiobooks now. Probably could pick up some of those soon. And basically, you got to go backwards to watch any real Trek anymore. These fuckers have ruined it now. Maybe this lady who's now taking over Paramount, if those rumors are true, if she manages to, if she actually does fire that piece of shit Kurtzman, that would be fantastic. I'd love that. I don't know that it's going to happen. I really don't, but I hope, you never know. We could be, can we have that kind of luck? I don't know. We're probably never getting Doctor Who back. We may get, you can still get a piece of good Star Wars once in a while. If you like The Mandalorian, I thought it was all right. Who knows what will happen with Star Wars? Comics are a joke, and Star Trek, it does not look good for the future. And you know what? If they just pronounce it dead, at least I have pronounced it dead for me, but that is absolutely so true, my friend Mark C. If Roddenberry was against the direction of Berman Trek, and he used to fight with him a lot about it, he would have lost his mind over everything since 2009. I don't care what his stupid son says. I put stupid in there. Mark didn't say that because his son is an idiot. Well, he's an opportunist, fine. But that is absolutely true because they like to show this interview with Roddenberry relatively toward the end of his life where he said something like he hopes some future generation takes it and does something, and makes it again and remakes it, whatever. That doesn't mean he wanted to see it ass raped by idiots like Jar Jar Abrams and fucking Alex Klutzman. That doesn't mean he loves to parade that in front of Roddenberry's son, loves to parade that in front of Jar Jar Abrams. And when Jar Jar Abrams saw that in a stupid kiss-ass interview that was done with him by Roddenberry's son, Eugene, or whatever, he's like, oh, well, that's great to know. Fuck you, Jar Jar Abrams and Eugene. That doesn't mean he would have approved of this shit. You don't know it. You should know your father better than that, Eugene. No, Star Trek is not pure adventure. The human adventure is just beginning, but it's not. It's adventure in a sense, but it's not adventure in that way, and it's not action. Not pure action, not only action. No. There's a lot of action in Star Trek. There's no question about it, and it's fine. But it always serves a story. Star Trek is about ideas and optimism. But you do have to have conflict because it is entertainment and it's art. Deep Space Nine's a great show. Great show. And there's a lot of conflict and darkness in there. And Gene would have been unhappy with a lot of stuff in it. No question about it. But it was still true and faithful to the spirit of Star Trek. Should there have been a Dominion War? I don't know. It was very well done when they had it, especially when the wrap up of that story arc, when they wrapped it up with about 6-7 episodes or whatever. No, sorry. Been a long day, dude. I just chomped on something, and no, I wouldn't. I'm too unhealthy to eat an apple. Son of Roddenberry series, good or bad? I'm not sure. Son of Roddenberry series? Good or bad? I don't know what that means, Eastland. I'm not sure exactly. If you could elaborate, please. I think it will take time, as Mark C says. But I think Star Trek and Star Wars can be saved. Doctor Who, on the other hand, is dead, 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 dead. It's dead a million times because they keep killing the doctor, the little girl doctor, which isn't really the doctor, of course. I tend to agree with that, although I'm a little more pessimistic, oddly enough, ironically, about Star Trek. But it's possible. No question about it, Mark. Star Wars, yeah. Anything can be saved. Even Doctor Who could be saved. But what's more likely to be, yeah, I kind of tend to agree with you there, my brother. Conflict, yes. Characters have motives and plans, not just showing up. Yeah. And there's a darker side to it, too. I mean, look, that episode where O'Brien goes undercover with the, in the Orion Syndicate. There's villainy out there. There's no question about it. There are bad things going on in the universe. That's not the whole point. Was not to say that Star Trek everything is solved. Is to say that we've advanced far enough, 300, 400 years into the future, to where we deal with our problems in a more evolved way when we can, but we still make mistakes. That to me is how I interpret the Roddenberry vision. That is still, I mean, look, the universe is still a dangerous place, and it's not a clean place. But his point was mankind grows up enough to learn and evolve more and more about how to handle things in a more peaceful, in a more civilized manner. Not always achieving it, sure. Not being perfect, sure. But not ripping people's friggin' eyes out for entertainment on P-Hard and things like that. Yeah. No, I hear you there. And even on the original series, look, Kirk, people like to accuse Kirk of shoot first type stuff. It's not true. Kirk always tried to reason his way out. But he pulled the trigger. Sure, he would fight. Because the reality is, it's a dangerous universe and not everyone agrees with your values. Not everyone is as polite and as evolved as you. Not everyone can be trusted to have the same ethics. And so you have to defend yourself. The survival instinct still exists in us as beings. We're not the Organians. When you watch the original series, and it was Roddenberry and it was a lot of other. Remember, Roddenberry passed that series Bible out to not just TV writers, mind you, but to a lot of science fiction writers who had experience writing television, but there were also science fiction writers, which is why I constantly marvel, even though I watch an episode I've watched a million times, when I watch a Trek episode of the original series. I mean, the other shows too, but the original series, when I go, wow, that's 1966, 7 or 8. That idea is extraordinary for back then. On a TV show in 1968, where the biggest, most popular show was Gunsmoke, good show, where the Brady Bunch and Lost in Space, those things are on TV. This show is exploring an insanely inventive and imaginative concept that makes you think. The original series made you think and inspired you to think. All the best Trek does that, even though some of it's, it has its light entertainment as well. Kirk was never a ready, aim, fire guy. I mean, Kirk was he just lived in a time where you did have to be more careful. That's all. They named a space shuttle after the Enterprise. When I think, one of the things I think about when I think about Star Trek, and when people like try to defend the new filth from 2009 on up, how many people, look, people can like what they want to like. I'd ask them this. Do you think in 10, 15, 20 years there will be anybody who woke up to Jar Jar Abrams and said, I saw one of your movies, or Alex Klutzman, I saw one of your shows, and it inspired me to want to be a scientist or an astronaut or a teacher or a doctor or some others in other field of science. That ain't gonna happen. They might say, "Oh, those movies were cool, man. Or those shows were badass." They're not going to say that. Well, the original Trek was doing that. The original Trek, before there ever was even a film, before there was a Next Generation, the original Star Trek was inspiring people. Yes, it's an entertainment. Yes, it's a TV show. It's art. It's entertainment. And yet, unlike any other TV show that ever existed, it was inspiring people to change their lives, to take a certain road in their life. That cannot be underestimated or undervalued. It inspired people to want to be better. A TV series that lasted 3 years that had ray guns and spaceships in it and funny costumes and weird looking, aliens. Because it's about ideas and inspiration. That's what Star Trek's about. That's what Gene Roddenberry was doing. And, of course, everyone involved. But this is his birthday celebration, so you stick on Roddenberry a little bit. They named the space shuttle after a fictional ship in a TV show. Why? Why, Alex Klutzman? Why don't you understand what Star Trek means? Because you're an imbecile. That's what you are. It's just, no one will ever say their life was changed if they went and watched one of those stupid movies. And watched idiot frat boy Chris Pine moron chomping his apple, going pew pew, in his shitty idiot revamp of the Kobayashi Maru, and that idiot Red Matter piece of shit movie that people like to excuse and say is good. It's not. And the dumbness is meaningless to me because the damage was done by the first piece of shit. I laugh at the dumbness for the people who are so in love, who are so indignant toward it. Well, they don't understand the damage was done by that piece of shit 09 garbage. And the dumbness beyond, they're just aftermath. Nobody else is ever going to be those characters. That's a piece of garbage. All those movies, and fuck Discovery is such a nasty piece of work. Compound that with destroying a great character like Jean-Luc Picard. God, I went back and watched Measure of a Man last night, which I've watched a zillion times. The character of Jean-Luc Picard, even if you're not that big on Next Generation, so brilliantly written and even more brilliantly acted, so many great speeches and performances that man can go shit on that character the way he did. You know something? I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm willing to bet that there are a lot of people whispering in his ear now, and talking to Patrick Stewart, saying, "Do you know what you did to Picard?" Kai says, I'm not sure how to take that, Kai. I hated The Force Awakens, but I'm one of those weirdos because a lot of people seem to like it okay till they kind of later went back. But for me, that 09 Trek, to be honest, as much as I hate it, I overblow it, my hatred of it in a sense, because it's not Star Trek anyway. It's Steino. It's Star Trek in name only. But for me, in a sense, I could say it's my Force Awakens, and I can say it's the beginning of the end, because it sure shouldn't have happened. It's basically the Fast and the Furious with spaceships and dumb frat boy Kirk boy. That's not my Kirk. I mean, that's not Kirk's what it is. Those that just isn't it. Star Trek is supposed to mean more than that. And by the way, to be fair, I know you're not supposed to say, people don't like when you say to be fair because you're going somewhere with a hatchet. To be fair, it didn't matter who they cast in that film, so I'm not really knocking the actors all that much. Nobody will ever be Captain James T. Kirk or Spock or Leonard McCoy. Yeah, I know everyone loves Carl Urban. He's a great actor, but he's not McCoy. I don't care. Especially Scotty with that idiot Simon Pegg, who's a moron. No one will ever be those characters for me anyway. So when you recast them, I'm done. It's not my Trek. I got you there, Kai. I see what you're saying. For sake of sanity and blood pressure, I watched the 09 piece of crap that day it came out, but by nefarious means, if you know what I mean. Via the Jolly Roger, if you got me. And with a buddy of mine, we sat in front of my computer and watched that trash and just was horrified. But again, I'll admit on further review, it's like there's no point in getting too worked up, but it's not real Trek. But the thing is, so many people who love real Trek kept calling it that and saying that they like it, even though they understood that it's not real Trek. I'm like, how can you, on the one hand, like something that you're admitting is not real Trek? It's taking the place of real Trek. Don't you understand that? But I had people saying stuff like, you have to support it or they won't make any more. Good. I'm not supporting it. That's how I started my show 11 years ago, was because of that movie and the Watchmen movie, but that one too. It's right when I started, right when that piece of garbage came out on Blog Talk Radio. 11 years now, 714 episodes later, still bitching about it like an idiot. But it's over now. Gotta let it go, buddy. Okay. You know, I give anything if boy, Shatner and the guys just look like that now, man. But you know, Gene Roddenberry, you know, no matter what was done to it later, thank you for what you gave us. Thank you so much. I mean, you gave the world a gift that unfortunately others took and you know, put graffiti all over it and spray painted all over it. Yes, we are. We're proud idiots, Paulie, but I'm a way bigger idiot than you. No one could be as big an idiot as me, but I'm just saying, basically, just in terms of size, you know, because I probably have like 800 pounds on you, brother. But I'm working on it. You the man, Paulie. Yeah, support it. Yeah, that's absolutely right. Do not support it when they use the name, but not the spirit, show, or the movie or book. It's not the same. No, it isn't. But I love Star Trek, man, in case you haven't guessed. And I love Star Wars. I'll be seeing my favorite movie tonight, Empire Strikes Back, on that big screen. Can't wait. And they've all been taken from us now. But look at this battle right here. These two guys here. I had criticisms of both of them over the years. Criticisms of both of them. Are we the Phantom Menace idiots? Well, no. I'm just look. I only ever call myself an idiot, but anyone else wants to call them that, that's fine. The Phantom Menace is where it's at, my friends. I think. I love the Phantom Menace. I love the Phantom Menace. I met so many great new people through it and friends through it. Without a Phantom Menace, I probably would not have met any of you. You know, you cool people, for example, you great fellow geeks. And the great thing about the Phantom Menace, to my understanding, is no, we don't all agree on everything. We don't have to. But we like a lot of the same things. We love a lot of the same things. We would like to see those things. At least most of us, a lot of us would like to see those things kept identity politics free. Just make good entertainment. And if you want to have those conversations about those things, those political things you're passionate about, we can do that in other venues. We don't have to do it in our entertainment. That's all any of us. I think that's all any of us ask. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But the great thing about Star Trek, all the series, they're very diverse, especially for the times they were in. But forced diversity and all that kind of stuff doesn't do you any good anyway. Absolutely, Kai. No question about it. Here's the minority. Well, let's see. Eastland Burkholder says, I did not like Majel Barrett, her voice or physical acting or any of hers. This is an ugly minority. No, is this an ugly minority opinion? I don't know if it's ugly. If you don't like something, you just don't like something. I mean, not every actor appeals to everyone else. She never bothered me. In fact, I like her as fine as Nurse Chapel. I think she was really, really very entertaining as Lexana Troy. Of course, she's the voice of the computer. I have a story about Majel Barrett, though. I don't know if I've told it to you guys, but when I was running a comic book shop in the early '80s, there was a thing. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the thing called Lincoln Enterprises. But Gene Roddenberry and his wife Majel, Gene sold Star Trek paraphernalia through a thing called. Thank you, Paulie. You the man. I appreciate that, buddy. Gene Roddenberry sold Star Trek merchandise through a company called Lincoln Enterprises, mostly a mail order company. And I ran a comic shop, and like I said, and called Southland Comics in Baton Rouge at the time. And we ordered a lot of Star Trek stuff from them and carried a lot of it in our store. And one day I get this phone call. And back then, the operator would say, do you take this call here, there, whatever? Or will you talk to this person? So I get a call. It's the operator. And she says, hold 1 minute, please. I'm working at the shop. And she says, will you speak to this person? She said, I got a call from California, whatever it was. And I said, and she asked me, would you hold on? Someone wants to speak to you. And she had to clear it with the person on the other line. She said, and this voice comes over and says, yes, I'll speak to this person. Thank you. Well, holy shit. I knew it, the voice right when I heard it. She didn't even have to tell me. She said, hello there. I'm calling from Lincoln Enterprises. This is Majel Barrett. Majel Barrett Roddenberry was on the phone with me, the voice of the computer, at then Nurse Chapel, decades before, a long time, or well, many years before she played Lexana Troy. But I was like, oh my God. Yeah, it's big for an idiot young Trekker. Dude, I was 18, 19, I was up in there. I said, oh, may I say, ma'am, this is an honor for me. I'm a big fan. I said, oh, well, thank you very much. She was very polite, very businesslike, and then proceeded to talk to me about my order. So she and Gene, they were running a company selling Star Trek stuff. They weren't I guess they weren't super rich at that point. Otherwise, why was she doing it? I didn't ask her. I just got, and then later I met her at a con a couple of years later, of course, but that was, phew. And speaking of the original series, the only one I never got to meet of the original cast was, outside of Roddenberry, was Nimoy. Eastland, we got that one in common, brother. I will not watch any Tom Cruise movie. I hate his guts. And Kai loved Lwaxana. Lwaxana was very entertaining on both Next Gen and Deep Space Nine. That's true. I'm with you there, man. I thought she was a really good character, very well written. Also, really good in the Peter David. Peter David wrote some really good Star Trek novels. The Peter David novel, I believe it was Q in Law. Yeah, Q in Law, where Q makes the mistake of giving Lwaxana Troy Q powers. Great book. If you can ever read it or find the audio book, I highly recommend it. If you're a Next Gen fan and you like Lwaxana Troy, good stuff. So yeah, I met. Let's see, most of them. Eastland mentions the Nimoy books. I Am Not Spock and I Am Spock. I've always called them I Am Not Spock, and I always called the second one, what, that much money? Hell yes, I'm Spock. But that's just me. I love the guy, but I got to be honest. I had a kind of a grudge against him for being part of the 09 filth. But hey, that's immature of me, because you should never begrudge anybody making money and doing well for themselves. So that's one thing. Kai says, I saw a Nimoy once at Comic-Con. I've never been to Comic-Con, man. I always wish I could have gone. He was surrounded by people smiling, signing autographs. I wanted to shake his hand and move along, but I figured he was already swarmed, so I didn't. Now I regret that. I understand, man, but at least you got to see him in person. Yeah, but I totally get you there, man. Especially a big event like that, it's tough, man, to meet them. Um, but I don't know, dudes. Gene did so much. He had a lot of help, but he did so much, and this is his celebration. Uh, I just honor his memory by the other day I watched one of every different Trek. I'm going to continue my binging of the original series, even though I've watched them all a million times, you know. But I used to. That's one of the great things about, especially original series and next gen. And to an extent, you can do it with the other ones as well. Actually, you can do it with the other ones, where you can just. And I love this about old TV. Maybe you all disagree. I love that you can grab any random episode that takes your fancy and just pop it on there, and you don't have this convoluted ass story arc. I watched Umbrella Academy both seasons last week, and I enjoyed it. It was good. But you can't just pop a random episode of something, any modern day show these days, and just expect just to just catch right on. You know, it's they don't make episodic television anymore, really. Not in that sense. Not closed stories, and I'm a big fan of the closed story. Maybe it's not for everything, but I really love it for Star Trek. So yeah, I mean that's a good point, Polly. If you see somebody, I mean, especially because I'm sure Kai at that point, you know, Nimoy was to be kind, no spring chicken. So yeah, I mean, you know, you kind of go, yeah, you better jump on it and meet him if you can. But look, you were there, you got to see him, man. That's cool. But I'm sorry you didn't get to shake his hand. He's the only one I did not get to meet. I got to shake Shatner's hand back when it only cost $5. Now to sniff Shatner's air for 3 minutes, it's about like $200. Love the guy, but you know, um, we need a new series and new franchises. If the old spirit is gone or alien to the new people, yeah, we really do need new. X Files did a lot of standalone episodes. I need to do a retro review on them. Polly, yes, I was never the biggest X Files dude until a friend of mine got me into it back in the late '90s, and I love some of the standalone episodes of that one. Some of the ones written by Darren Morgan, Vince Gilligan did some great ones. People like the mythology stuff, and that's cool and that's great. But they have some brilliant standalone ones, as did the second season of Millennium, which first season, third season I thought was terrible. But yeah, there were some great. I mean, especially those crazy, insane Darren Morgan episodes of X Files. Really great stuff. Quantum Leap can be enjoyed out of order each episode. You know, a lot of look. I may be the minority voice there because look, Eastland. A lot of people really like Quantum Leap, and who am I to judge, man? I say more power to you. You got a show you like it, brother. I say. I mean, yes, I'm not married to you, so I can't tease you about it. I could tease to my wife, and you can see why I've been single for 25 years. Darren Morgan wrote Jose Chung's From Outer Space, War of the Cockrophages, Quagmire. He wrote some other ones. He was even on an episode. I forget which one. He was brilliant. He also wrote in the second season of Millennium. He wrote 2 episodes that are a couple of Nemo. And I love the second season of Millennium. I did not like the first much, and the third season I thought was terrible because Morgan and Wong controlled the second season because Chris Carter was out making his dopey X Files movie at the time, and they got away with murder on that as far as craziness on that second season. And Darren Morgan wrote 2 of the most brilliant things I've ever seen on television in that second season of Millennium. One was called Jose Chung's Doomsday Defense, which was a brutal rip on Scientology. I'm surprised they got away with it, but they got away with it by using different names. And the other one was called Somehow Satan Got Behind Me, which was a great episode about 4 demons sitting around a donut shop in the morning telling how they damn souls. God, it was brilliant. Every now and then I pull those episodes out. There were other great ones in that season. Such a good show at that point. But yeah, Darren Morgan was amazing, and he wrote some of those newer from the new X-Files too. That were I only got to see one of those, but it was really good, if I remember right. But there's a guy who's capable of extraordinary writing and doesn't really do that much. I don't know, man. I don't know what the deal is on that. Yeah, oh yeah, oh God, yeah. Clive Bruckman's Final Repose with Peter, oh God, what's his name? God, I can't remember his name. Young Frankenstein guy, Peter. God, why am I forgetting this damn name? You all know it though. That was great. Good God, Clive! I can't believe I forgot Clive Bruckman's Final Repose. Great episode, unbelievable. And he played a character in an episode as well. I forget the title. It was a Vince Gilligan one. And Vince Gilligan wrote an episode about the guy who could change his face and change his appearance, but he had a tail. God, what's the name of that episode, man? You probably know it, Polly. Yeah, great stuff. Great stuff. Well, good. I mean, look, we talked a little Trek. We paid a little tribute to the great Gene Roddenberry. I get to go see Empire Strikes Back last night. You know, I ordered Peter Boyle. Thank you, sir. You are the man. Paulie, you are the man, sir. Peter Boyle, Young Frankenstein. I'm an idiot for not remembering that. You know, I ordered the Perfect Geek shirt to wear. I didn't know I would need it for tonight, and it's still in transit. I'm not going to have it. Boo-hoo. I love it for my Empire, for going to see Empire tonight. Damn it. Like, yes, my life is over. But yeah. Well, you know more about X-Files than I do, brother, but I'm willing, man. I haven't watched it in a long time. I'm willing to join you unless you have I can't say I have any expertise on X-Files, but I'm willing to talk about it, brother. You seem to know way more about it than me, man. There are many who do. My expertise lies in comics, Star Trek, Doctor Who, some Star Wars, and a lot of old TV and science fiction and pulp fictions, old pulp books and stuff. I got to admit, I'm not an expert in X-Files, but those episodes, man. I bet you're big. I bet you've watched them all a bunch of times. I love the show that it was sort of slightly inspired by Kolchak the Night Stalker. So Gene Roddenberry, sirs, ladies and gentlemen, Star Trek the original series, Star Trek the animated series, which, by the way, we didn't even talk about. You know what? We should talk about it a little bit. Star Trek the animated series on Lou Scheimer and the Filmation guys, and won an Emmy award. It was still it carried the heart and soul and intelligence of Star Trek. It had the actors, all except for there was no Chekhov, there was no Walter Koenig, but he did write an episode called The Infinite Vulcan, which a lot of people didn't like, but I liked it. Sure, it was a kid's show, but it really maintained a lot of the intelligence. And Roddenberry used to say, some things you could do with a cartoon you can't do with the live action show, and he said, and he proved it. If you're a fan of cartoons, yes, very limited animation, the Lou Scheimer Filmation animation. But, and yes, the actors, a lot of times Shatner and Nimoy and these actors did that, like they went in like bathrooms and places and phone booths, or not phone booths necessarily, but in different places where they were caught to read all their lines and stuff. It was pretty primitive back then. So say they. But so true, Eastland. The show didn't talk down the kids. I mean, yes, it's on Saturday mornings. And yeah, I mean, there were some really good stories. Really good stories. That's right. 3 on 3-legged alien on the bridge. Lieutenant Eric's. And there's Lieutenant Imres. And, I can't stand how Roddenberry sort of allowed it, so it aggravated me a little. How Paramount Canon decided that only the episode Yesteryear that it featured the Guardian Forever, that was Spock going back in time meeting his young self, is considered canon to the original series. In my opinion, as a geek fan and a Trek fan, I count the whole animated series. Because if you're going to count crap like Alternative Factor and Spock's brain as, part of Trek, then so is the original, the animated series. We got to see Captain Robert April in the very last episode, the counterclock incident. This was the first look at anything resembling a holodeck. There was basically the holodeck idea started on the animated series in the episode Practical Joker. Beyond the Farthest Star, great one. I liked Infinite Vulcan. A lot of people didn't. The Slayer Weapon, a great episode, which was only featured, I think it was Spock, Uhura, and Sulu, I think. Jihad, great episode. In spite of that title and name, that was a great one, I thought. Yeah, I'm with you there, Eastland. Star Trek Encyclopedia be damned, even though I like it. Well, it's canon to me anyway. And then you get, of course, my story with the Next Generation. Look, it took me a while. I was excited to see a new series. But I was stubborn. And I didn't really, and I'll finish with this, just giving a basic rundown of what I think of all the other shows. I watched it every night, and I had friends of mine. We were more like critical than fans, I guess, because we were very staunch original series. And we watched The Next Generation with a critical eye, and we're pretty rough on it because that, again, it's just, look, we were young, relatively speaking. I was a young man when that show came on. I was in my early 20s, hard-headed. I wanted my Trek the way I wanted it. Oh, worst Star Trek movie, if you count, there are only 10 of them. I don't count the Jar Jar Abrams garbage. In my opinion, the worst one is Insurrection. If you count, in my opinion, if you're counting it of the original crew, I don't know. It's tough for me to pick. But if you mean of all 10 of the TOS or Next Gen, Paulie, I'm going to say Insurrection. Oh, I might say Generations because it killed Kirk. It's tough for me. I'd like to hear your opinion, though. But I warmed up to it a little bit, and then over the years, we're going back as I've gotten older. I really, really now love The Next Generation. Early on, it used to infuriate me. You'd hear a lot of fans when it was still on the air, a few seasons in. It's so much better than the original series. Well, I just didn't take well with that. I'm immature. I was immature. Of course, I was immature. I didn't like that. Don't you? And look, if you want to say it's good, it didn't bother me much. When you said it's better than the original series, it was fighting words back then. And I got in many an argument like a dumb fuck. But I was young, So, young, proud geek, couldn't help it, man. You don't touch the original series, Jack. So, I became almost prejudiced towards it, and judgmental of it, and not fair to it because so many people were saying it's better than the original. It was really pissing me off. But so I was just sort of like, I kind of didn't really care much. To me, I was going to be an original series guy. Everything else be damned. I watched the pilot of Deep Space Nine when it came out. Watched an episode or two after that, and didn't care about it. Same thing with Voyager. Didn't want to watch Enterprise. Walked out of the house, then walked back in, set the VCR the day it aired. I'm going, the Quantum Leap guy? Are you shitting me? Ended up really liking it. And that's kind of the kind of Trek fan I was. And a number of years ago, now things have changed. You get older, you evolve, everything changes. And some friends of mine were recommending that had binged Deep Space Nine because look, I'm a big Babylon 5 fan, by the way. I love Babylon 5. I'm not going to get into the whole Babylon 5 versus Deep Space Nine and which was stolen from what and what have you. But pretty much Deep Space Nine was kind of stolen from it, even though it was long. It's a long, drawn out story. We're not going to get into that. Maybe someday. Love B5. And I went back and I said, you know what? Let me give Deep Space Nine another shot. Let me watch it more because I'd watched it here sparingly. And there was nothing to watch anyway. I wasn't really into that. I don't like new stuff that much. I got to be honest with all of you. I'm not into the new aesthetic. I don't like new things that much. I'm that old and crusty, I guess. So I watched Deep Space Nine, and about halfway into the first season, I almost quit. I'm like, it's okay, but I'm not really feeling it. But I stayed. There was an episode really pissed me off. I thought, that's it, I'm done. But I didn't listen to myself. I said, screw you. Go ahead, keep going a little bit. And toward the end of the first season, that was fine. I wanted to watch more. And as it went along, I really started to like it. Got all the way through it. That was a few years ago. It's been like 4 or 5 years ago now. 4 years ago, whatever. I watched the episodes tons and tons of times. I've almost re-binged it in different spots. I love Deep Space Nine. Now I'm a true believer. I really love it. To me, it's on a level with Babylon 5, and there's a big argument there. I think it's great. Next Gen, same deal. I've watched a lot of it before, but not lately. And then, with the availability of Netflix filth, it's there, and I would just go start just kind of wanting something to watch again. And I've gone back now and watched them all many times. I love The Next Generation. I became more of a fan as I got older. So I decided to sit down and binge Voyager because I'd already binged Enterprise a few times, and I love it. I'm that weirdo, sorry. I binged Voyager, and it's okay. I wanted to see them all. I want to make sure I watched all of everything that is a series of Trek. So I did. I watched them all. I'm kind of cold on Voyager. I don't mind it. I like it. I really love the character of the Doctor played by Robert Picardo. He's my favorite character. I'd like 7 of 9, not just for her obvious reasons. Dude, back when that show was on the air, when 7 of 9 was on it, I had a friend with a comic shop, and I had this other friend. I got him a job there, and I would go there on, I think, Wednesday nights or whatever the new comic book day was back then, and they were there late. And I'd show up after work, and I'd see them all standing in front of the TV, and what the hell are you guys doing? We're watching Voyager. So, you watch that crap? And you say, yeah, look at that, motherfucker. And they were just watching for 7 of 9, the bastards. But it was the 90s, man. What are you going to do? But good God, she's fantastic. And I love Cisco, man. I really love him. I love Picard now. I love all these shows. I mean, I love the essence of it. Whether it was after Roddenberry or not, he's still all over it. Many, many other people are too. Don't get me wrong, but Roddenberry started it all. Would he have approved of a lot of different things? No, probably not. But I still think it has his spirit in there. I think Enterprise has his spirit in there. Paulie, what's your worst, bud? Mark, C is his nemesis. Insurrectionist feels like a solid 2-hour episode, but maybe you meant to say solid. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Nemesis, it's tough to argue with that one, buddy. It's not too good, man. I don't know. Did you ever watch, anyway, by the way, if you've seen Nemesis, did you watch on the DVD back when I had it? I don't have it anymore. When they put an extended version, the extended scene with the new first officer coming on board and Riker pulling a joke on him. That scene was kind of funny. They shouldn't have cut that out. Voyager should have looked battered and should have had shortages and all that kind. A lot of people have said that. A lot of people said that they didn't think after the 7 years that it should have been so pristine and all that stuff. I don't disagree with it, but I think they were trying to maintain an optimistic feel to it. But you're not. I wouldn't say you're wrong, man. Or I wouldn't say. More importantly, I wouldn't say I disagree or anything. I see where you're coming from, Eastland. There's some good episodes of Voyager. I love the Barkley episodes. The Q ones are kind of fun. Some of the ones that focus on the Doctor are really good. He's really great. So if I had some kind of intro music to play out, I would. My dear friends, I thank you for being here at the middle of the day like this to celebrate the great Gene Roddenberry. And next year will be his 100th. I wonder if they'll do anything to tribute him. Will the powers that be that run and ruin and destroy Star Trek right now, will they pay tribute to Gene Roddenberry a year from now that would have been his 100th birthday? The way they didn't pay tribute to the show on its 50th anniversary. Yeah, they did that really nice Blu-ray set that I got, but they gave us a piece of shit Abrams' filthy Beyond movie, beneath Star Trek Beneath. So they didn't properly celebrate Star Trek in 2016. So why should they celebrate the creator in 2021? Probably won't. Yeah, I like the Captain Proton ones. Yeah, that's fun stuff. I agree with you there, Mark. Yeah, but a lot of people do like Voyager. It's both it and Enterprise take a lot of heat. I like Enterprise a lot better. I love the whole crew of Enterprise. I really do, and I'll defend them to anybody. But a lot of people don't like them, and that is that's cool too. It's no biggie. You learn to deal with that kind of thing. Not everybody likes the same thing. And there are things I hate that you guys like, and things that I love that you guys hate. That's life, man. Yeah. But Captain Proton was fun. Generations, and I can respect this that Doomcock hates Generations and has never watched it because he knows what they did to Kirk. The movie itself would be entertaining if they didn't give Kirk such a shitty death. It would be relatively entertaining. And I have watched it, but I admire him for not watching it. It's fine. But he hates First Contact as well, which I think was okay. He hates the idea of the Vulcans, being the first contact, them coming to Earth and being far ahead of us. Is why he doesn't like Enterprise. It is something, and it's not really that much of a retcon. It's just like an addition to canon. He doesn't like the whole first contact thing. Doesn't bother me, but I respect it. I respect his position on that. Jerry Goldsmith's score for First Contact is fantastic. It's beautiful, by the way. Beautiful. And a lot of people say movie Picard is different from series Picard. Well, yeah, true, but not like. But it's still movie Picard in the movies is far more than that garbage piece of shit Picard on CBS all asshats. I'll tell you that. Way different. At least there's still some Picard from the series left in the movie one. Yeah. So look, guys, my friends, I don't like to leave, man. But I got to get moving here a little bit. And I've had a wonderful time. And thanks for listening to me just shoot my mouth off. I always have a lot more fun with someone to bounce off of on the show. And I always love bringing somebody on. But my friend Problem Being was not allowed to make it. I'm not able to make it. But he and I will do a Blake 7 and Doctor Who show soon. I won't be able to do a show tomorrow night. I'm going to be on, I think I'm still going to be on Stone Loki's show tomorrow. At some point, I don't know if it's tomorrow night or whatever, talking about that DC fandom event. He's asked me to be on to talk about that. And we'll be talking, I guess, all things DC. I don't know exactly what we'll be talking. Eastland, thank you so much. Polly, my friend, Latino Slant. Anyone out there, if you have not subscribed, please go to Latino Slant channel and subscribe to my friend Polly and check out his vids. And he does great live streams, and I'll see you that next time when I can. The great Kai MFS, go to his page as well. He has a channel as well. Please subscribe to that. Kai, thank you being here. Thank you for being here, sir. It has been a pleasure. I'm honored. Mando Merck stopped in earlier. Mando, if you're still here, thank you. If not, I'm still glad you stopped in. And my great friend Mark C, and sometimes fellow co-host. And I hope we will do a show again soon. Mark, Mark, I'd like to do one about movie comic adaptations before the summer runs out. If you're not interested in that, that's cool. But I'm thinking about doing that. Comic book adaptations of movies used to be a big thing. And it's kind of fun talking about stuff like that. But maybe that's just me. I don't know if anyone cares about that topic. But that never stops me. So I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Paulie. And I will see you all someday soon, I'm sure. So thank you so much, everyone. And I guess I am going to fly out of here. RR's here. Oh, Hey, RR, I wanted to get a shout out to you. I did not know you were here, my brother. I'm sorry. Nice to see you, RR. I did not know you were here, friend. I'm so sorry. Thank you. Thank you so much, my friend, for that. Thank you for popping in. Thank you all. I am out of here. Good luck, everyone. Have a great weekend.